Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you all? I hope that by the infinite mercy and grace of Allah, you are all doing well. Today, we're going to dive into a very important and practical question that many Muslims, especially those with busy schedules, often wonder about. The question is this: if someone goes to the mosque on Friday, prays only the 2 rak'ahs of the obligatory Jumu'ah prayer, and then immediately leaves, is their prayer considered valid? And more importantly, is it a sin to do so? This is a common scenario. Life gets busy, work calls, and sometimes people feel they only have time for the bare minimum. They might do this without knowing the complete ruling. So, in this video, we're going to explore this topic in detail, looking for the correct answer from the Qur'an, the Sunnah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the opinions of our respected scholars. Let's find out together. To understand this issue properly, we first need to break down what actually happens during the Jumu'ah prayer in the mosque. On a typical Friday, there are several key components to this special act of worship. First, for those who arrive early, there are 4 rak'ahs of sunnah prayer, performed before the Khutbah, known as the Qabliyah. This is a recommended prayer that the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions used to observe. Second, we have the Khutbah itself, which is the Friday sermon delivered by the Imam. This is a central part of the Jumu'ah proceeding. Third, after the Khutbah, the entire congregation prays to Rak'ahs of Fard, or obligatory salah, behind the Imam. This is the core, non-negotiable part of the Jumu'ah prayer. And finally, after the Fard prayer, there are another 4 rak'ahs of Sunnah prayer, known as the Badiya Sunnah, which are also highly recommended. Now, among all these components, the most essential and obligatory act, the one that absolutely must be performed, is the 2 rak'ahs of Fard. Salah prayed in congregation behind the Imam. If this is missed, the Jumu'ah prayer itself is missed. But does that mean everything else is unimportant? Let's see what the Qur'an says. In Surah Al-Jumu, verse 9, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a direct command. He says, "O you who believe, when the call is made for prayer on Friday, then hasten to the remembrance of Allah and leave off all business. That is better for you if you only knew." Let's look closely at the phrase remembrance of Allah, or many scholars explain that this dhikrullah doesn't just refer to the 2 rak'ahs of prayer alone. It's a comprehensive term that includes the entire process. Coming to the mosque, listening attentively to the khutbah, and then performing the prayer. The khutbah itself is a form of remembering Allah, where we are reminded of our duties, our purpose, and our connection to our Creator. The verse tells us to hasten and leave off business. This implies a sense of priority and seriousness. It suggests that once the call for Jumu'ah is made, our focus should shift completely from our worldly affairs to this sacred act of worship. The moment the Imam ascends the pulpit to deliver the khutbah, the special, sacred time of Jumu'ah begins. So, the spirit of this verse encourages us to immerse ourselves in this remembrance, not to simply perform a quick ritual and rush back to our worldly tasks. So, while the Fard prayer is the peak of this remembrance, the khutbah is the essential build-up to it. Leaving it out, or not giving it importance, goes against the holistic spirit of this beautiful verse. Now, let's turn to the guidance of the best of creation, our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He emphasized the immense virtues of Friday and promised incredible rewards for those who observe it with the proper etiquette. In a famous hadith, narrated in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, and also found in Sahih, Al-Bukhari, and Muslim, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever takes a ghusl bath on Friday, purifies himself as much as he can, then uses his hair oil or perfumes himself with the scent of his house, 10 proceeds for the Jumu'ah prayer and does not separate 2 persons sitting together, then prays as much as Allah has written for him and then remains silent while the Imam is delivering the khutbah, his sins in between the present and the last Friday will be forgiven." And in another powerful hadith from Sunan al-Tirmidhi, he said, "Whoever takes a bath on Friday goes early, walks to the mosque, sits near the Imam, listens attentively, and does not engage in idle talk. For every single step he takes, he will have the reward of 1 year as fasting and 1 year as night prayer. Just think about that for a moment. The reward of an entire year of fasting and praying at night for every single step you take to the mosque. What an unbelievable, generous reward from Allah. But this reward is conditional. It's for the one who prepares, goes early, sits close, and, crucially, listens attentively to the Qur'an. The person who only shows up for the 2 Rak'ahs of Fard and then rushes out is, unfortunately, missing out on all of this. They miss the reward for going early, the immense blessings of listening to the Khutbah, and the spiritual benefits of the Sunnah prayers before and after. They are sacrificing a mountain of reward for the sake of a few extra minutes. While the Sunnah prayers are not obligatory, they are the established practice of the Prophet, peace be upon him. He was consistent with them. They are a powerful means of drawing closer to Allah, making up for any deficiencies in our Fard prayers, and earning extra love from our Creator. By consistently ignoring them, we are willingly giving up a huge opportunity for spiritual growth and benefit. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also gave some very strong warnings about taking Jumu'ah lightly. This shows us just how significant this weekly congregation is in the life of a Muslim. He said, in a hadith recorded in Sunan Abu Dawud, whoever abandons 3 consecutive Jumu'ahs out of negligence, Allah will place a seal over his heart. This is a terrifying statement. A sealed heart is one that becomes hard, unable to accept guidance or feel the sweetness of faith. Now, we must be clear. Simply leaving after the Fard prayer is not the same as abandoning Jumu'ah altogether. The person has technically attended. However, it can be seen as a form of spiritual negligence and a lack of respect for the complete sanctity of this blessed day. You may have fulfilled the bare minimum obligation, but in doing so, you've deprived yourself of the full, rich, spiritual experience. You've missed the advice and reminders in the Khutbah, which could have been exactly what you needed to hear that week. You've missed the extra rewards of the Sunnah prayers, and you've missed a chance to sit for a few extra moments, making dua and remembrance of Allah in His house. You have traded a treasure for pocket change. So, what do the great scholars of our tradition say about this? This is where we get the precise legal ruling. The major imams and jurists of Islam have discussed this issue, and their consensus provides us with clear guidance. According to the Hanafi school, for instance, Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, if someone prays only the 2 Rak'ahs of Fard and leaves, his obligatory prayer is considered valid, or sahih. He is not considered to have sinned in the major sense. However, the act of leaving out the Sunnah prayers is classified as makruh tanzih. This means it is a discouraged and undesirable act. It's something that is disliked and goes against the ideal practice, even if it doesn't carry a formal sin. It shows a lack of concern for the Sunnah. Similarly, other great scholars like Imam Shafi and Imam Maliki, may Allah have mercy on them, also state that the Fard obligation is fulfilled with the 2 Rak'ahs. However, they emphasize that rushing out immediately is inappropriate and contrary to the proper etiquette, or adab, of Jumu'ah. It reflects a poor attitude towards this great act of worship. So, the scholarly consensus is clear. Your Fard prayer is valid. You have fulfilled the absolute minimum requirement, but you have acted in a way that is disliked. You've abandoned the beautiful practice of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and you have forfeited an immense amount of reward. So let's bring it all together. What is the final conclusion and our practical takeaway? Is your Jumu'ah prayer valid if you only pray the 2 Fard? Yes, your obligation is technically fulfilled. You will not be counted among those who abandon Jumu'ah. He sit a sin. According to the majority of scholars, it is not a sin, but it is a makruh or disliked and discouraged act. It shows a certain level of disregard for the Sunnah and the full spirit of worship. The real question we should be asking ourselves is not, what is the minimum I can get away with, but how can I maximize my reward and get closer to Allah? Allah gives us this beautiful gift every week, a day of forgiveness, immense reward, and spiritual rejuvenation. Rushing through it is like being invited to a royal banquet and only grabbing a piece of bread before running out the door. You missed the feast. Our advice is to make a sincere intention every Friday to attend the Jumu'ah prayer, in its entirety. Try to go a little earlier. Listen to the Khutbah with your heart. Pray your Sunnah prayers with concentration. See it as a weekly spiritual reset, a chance to recharge your Iman for the week ahead. If, on a very rare occasion, you have an unavoidable emergency or a critical situation that forces you to leave right after the Fard prayer, then Allah is all-forgiving and understands your situation. But this should be the rare exception, not the regular habit. Let's strive to honor this day and make the most of the blessings it contains. Let's show Allah that we love His worship and we value the Sunnah of His beloved Messenger. I pray that Allah gives us all the understanding and the ability to practice our religion in the best possible way, and to never miss out on the incredible blessings He offers us. Ameen. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video beneficial, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. May Allah bless you all. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah.